This is Ken Countess, and as you've seen in the prior videos, there's a lot that goes into buying a franchise. You've learned in the previous videos about funding and other aspects of picking out a franchise, the one that may be right for you. With me today is Richard Duell. Richard is based in Birmingham, Alabama, and he's an expert in franchise law. And it's not a matter of find the documents and sign them. There are many, many aspects of buying a franchise that you really need to pay particular attention to. And Richard is a well-known national expert on franchise law. Richard, I'm delighted that you're with me today.
Delighted to be with you also. Thank you for having me.
So why don't we dive into it? I think that the folks that are watching this video series at this point have a very keen interest in buying a franchise. So would you go through with us all the elements that someone needs to be aware of and help guide them through the process of picking out a franchise?
I think that, first of all, let me say this. I believe that franchising is a separate segment of the law, and that in order to have a good review of the franchise documents, the franchise disclosure document, that you need to have an attorney that's familiar with franchise law. Second of all, there are a number of laws which affect a franchisor's or limit a franchisor's ability to make changes to the franchise agreement without making changes for other franchisees. So a franchise attorney knows the areas that a franchisor can and cannot negotiate, and I think ultimately provides a much fairer contract or franchise agreement for its client because of that. So when I go through the franchise disclosure document and the franchise agreements, I take a look at several red flags that come to my attention. First of all, I take a look at the legal aspect of the franchise documents and their implication of those legal documents from the perspective of the franchisee. Then I take a look at the financial aspect of those documents and see whether or not the franchisor has the financial stability to fulfill all its financial obligations to the franchisee and maintain that long-term relationship that the franchisee is looking for. Mm-hmm. Then I go to the historical part of the franchise disclosure document, and I take a look at a snapshot of the previous history of the franchisor to see, has it had, for instance, a number of legal matters, litigation history? What type of lawsuits has it been involved in? Has it had a change of ownership? Has there been a change in management? All those things help us decide whether or not, and help us work with the prospective franchisee to decide whether or not it's capable of entering into a long-term relationship with a franchisor.
So those are very excellent points, Richard. I think you've surfaced quite a few things that someone who is just beginning to consider buying a franchise really needs to know. I think one of the things I heard was you really have to do your homework, but beyond that, there are so many other elements where you really need to hire an experienced professional who knows all the ins and outs, who can spot the red flags and help guide you through the process. Is that right?
Oh, I think absolutely. I think an attorney that's experienced in franchising can save their client a lot of money, and I believe they can provide a much fairer contract also.
So Richard, for someone who's just going into business for themselves for the first time, and I say themselves, but they've really decided that franchising is the best thing for them, what are the things that they should consider when they think about hiring an attorney like yourself?
Number one, find an attorney that knows franchise law. Number two is find that attorney that knows franchise law and knows the areas that a franchisor can and cannot legally negotiate. Number three, take a look at the red flags from the historical perspective, from the legal perspective, and from the financial perspective. Number four, take a look at the stability of the franchisor from the financial standpoint. What is the makeup of that franchise system, the ownership of the franchise system, the financial structure of the franchisor, and the capability of that franchisor providing the financial resources to maintain a long-term commitment with the franchisee. I think when you've got those areas covered, that you can negotiate, or that a franchise attorney can negotiate for you a much fairer franchise agreement and save you money also.
Hey, Richard, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. It's very clear, I think, to the viewer of this video that there are some very important things that they need to consider. So at the bottom of the screen, you'll see Richard's contact information. And if you'd like, go ahead and give Richard a call or reach out to him on his website. Richard, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And I look forward to the next time we chat.
Thank you for allowing me to be with you.